Hello gamers and welcome to another Steel Division 2 SDL cast. This time it's a Division 4 game between the Tusk and LusitanianWolf. It's game 1 between the two in Division 4. And they both play in my group as well. And LusitanianWolf is also in the Kingdom of the Noobs. So this is the Tusk stack. They play on Orsha East. He decided to go with Tatra. I think it's kind of like his signature division a little bit. He's really good with Tatra and I think he enjoys it. He's got this Hetzer, Jagdpanzer, all those nice tools here in B phase, cheap tanks in A phase, some spammy infantry with the really good Landesschützen Ost because they've got the LMG for just 15 points. He didn't go for Volkssturm, which is an option, I think, because they've got the Panzerfaust, which can be helpful. A phase, none of the light AT guns, just the kind of like howitzer radio Zis gun, and a Wolfram in A already, decent air force including Recon. LusitanianWolf was player 1 in both games and he decided to play 7th Estonian. It's maybe his signature division. It's also the signature division of the Kingdom of the Noobs, and you need to defeat higher ranking players in order to climb the rank within the clan from peasant to squire to knight. It's a really good division. Lots of snipers. I mean, look at that. Single vetted in this case. Pioneer it is really good with their TNT for that price. And very decent infantry tab. You get your mustard spam, some decent tanks. He decided to bring the Churchill, which takes quite some time to arrive at the battlefield. I'm excited to see how this will perform actually. He did not go for the cheap support tanks. Then T-34 spam in C phase, which is cool because it's only 55 points. And it's super interesting because he decided to go V for victory. Yeah, you got artillery, including the 120mm mortar, which is hardly ever used. So this will be exciting. Lots of cluster planes in A phase. Well, 2 cards. And no fighter, no designated fighter. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this game goes. So here we are on Orsha East. On the right hand side in blue we've got the Tusk playing Tatra with the Maverick income. And on the left hand side we've got a Squire LusitanianWolf from the Kingdom of the Noobs playing with the signature division of the Kingdom, the 7th Estonian. In Orsha North, I think that for faster division, the red side is actually quite good because you can get into these houses. There's usually some fighting here in this forest. It's only 2 flags in total though, so it might not always be worth it. And here we go. Where's the deployment? It's a not super aggressive deployment by our Maverick player. And LusitanianWolf with an incredibly aggressive deployment. Also sending units up here. This is going to work, maybe, possibly not if the AT gun arrives on time, but there's the Recon. He will possibly want to bomb something, yeah. And here you can see the Pioneered spam. Maybe he didn't ground target. No, he did, potentially. I don't know why it didn't work. He's withdrawing because of the Li5 FN. And look at this. The speed advantage is so incredible. He can just sit in these houses. So if you play on the right hand side and have a speed advantage and the Recon plane goes down, I think it's 35 or 65 points down the drain. All the MG42s that usually go in here are denied. And the Pioneer, it might even kill 1 or 2 of them with its TNT. In the south we see some fighting as well. Good deployment here with the sharpshooter and also AT capabilities plus some infantry. can hear it, a bit aggressive. Rasvedka here as well with good line of sight. The Landesschützen Ost doing what they can. The bomber looking for targets, the fighter bomber. Yeah, the Pioneer actually went down. That's a bit surprising. Maybe there was some help from here. And there's a Stuck coming, but there's also the M42. The APCR shell's not switched off, but I don't think they have to be switched off, or have they? Yeah, well, at this distance maybe it's better to not switch them off. There's an OBR now shooting as well with HE at the Stuck 3, side-shotting, dealing some damage, at least annoying the hell out of the Stuck. And there's a Panzer 3 finally on the battle scene. It's interesting that I don't see a single one of those cheap, overperforming Czech tanks in the initial deployment for the Tusk, even though we did see them. We did see them in the battlefield, in particular against a fast division. It's important maybe to maybe get a transport snipe. But here you can see no LMGs in this house, or no HMGs in this house. It's not necessary because he captured this location. This guy is not in the house, it's attacking. This guy is attacking. But it'll go down in the hellfire created by the Landesschützen Ost. It's firing a little bit. There's a Panzer 3 now up against an M42. APCRs, well, it's shooting AP shells. Yeah, it's out of range. Yeah, that's tricky. It's 1 kilometer range only for the APCR shells, and this is not within range. So it was actually quite lucky to get the crit at all, and there goes something down, a plane, I think I missed it. Must have been a blue plane. In here the Rasvedka is doing a fantastic job, good location, very good unit positioning here. I think it'll defeat the SPW. Also there's a leader, good leader play here, which means the units are double or even triple vetted. Good to move it back. And it's 13-11 for our V for Victory player. In the north though, the Tusk managed to take this flag and is kind of reinforcing and moving forward. That's a good call actually. What he now needs to do is take back this flag. He lost his HMGs. He's bringing in the mortar. I would have done the same, so it's probably not the best idea, I'm not sure. He's trying to save his flag, but there's actually not much in here. And this shows how important it is to know what's going on, but the Tusk can't know because of the good use of the fighter bombers here. Lots of reinforcement in the south. Now, first, here's some mustards as well, some more mustards. LusitanianWolf seems to want to clear this. Now, this is going for, yeah, this is like a strong position here. There's also a Rasvedka, he needs to withdraw his Feldjäger. Stuck 3, he needs something like a tank. Now those cheap tanks would have been good, and here they come, a bit too late I think. And that might cost him a lot of ticks. And yeah, there's a KV-1 on the scene as well. That's a kind of a beast in A phase for 7th Estonian with the 95 penetration. Now the mortar actually doing it. Yeah, unfortunately, well, no, it's actually doing a good job here, pinning down some units, dropping some models, and that helps the push into this town. I fear for those P-grants though. Yeah, it's theoretically possible to jump out of the building after that's been thrown. Has it been thrown? Maybe not, because only two models dropped. Now Panzer, the Czech tanks arriving on the scene everywhere, and but it's still a 14-10. LusitanianWolf holding this flag. It's hard to push back, and also this with just two cheap, shitty 15-point flamers. Good Dragon play here by the Tusk, and there are some AT guns. Well, artillery and AT guns, the F-22, holding the line. Not seeing much here, but everything that comes down the road will be shot at. often players deploy the AT gun like here, or even usually here, which gives you a good line of sight on the road, but everyone knows that there's an AT gun. So it denies it, but if someone wants to push here, he knows that he will have to deal with the AT gun here. And this placement is actually very interesting here, because it will deny a push. And if the units stand here, it doesn't really matter, because the flags are here and here. And it's only one flag that's lost, and there are a few flags that have been conquered. More Mustards arriving, and an Aufklärer. Landesschützenhorst being very, very annoying, but there's now 2 KV-1S. I think this is going to be problematic, and there's a tank arriving, a medium tank. More Tanko Thessaloniki. The Czech tank going down to the Razvedka. And a bomb run. Very painful. Everyone falling back. He could even surrender them now, maybe. And only some Landesschützen Ost holding the line. If this guy was to drive through, he would maybe surrender them. In the north, though, probing, trying to get a sneak peek at what's going on. But my guess is that the Tusk now wants to take back the central hill, which has been massively fortified by LusitanianWolf. He has put to hold fire. They are pinned down, they need to be withdrawn. I think they'll die. Stück 3, Panzer 4. Now there's a Zis gun as well. I think it's a Zis gun, right? Yeah, Zis 3. And the KV-1 went down to the Zis gun. I think that it's a bit late for all the tiny Czech tanks. They get destroyed by all the support weapons that are on the scene. And now LusitanianWolf really wants to secure the air. Yeah, I think that's a 65 points bomber, yeah. And another one goes down. I think he had maybe 2. And yeah. It's actually good division picks by both players for this particular map. Orsha East. But the speed advantage really helped out a lot. And like I said, this is the side, if you have the speed advantage, you can rush into these houses. Panzer 4 fighting hard. Some more F-22 guns trying to hold the line, and they can be used for counter battle or for artillery support as well. KV-1S double vetted, going in here to get shots from this side. So this is he's like creating a kill box here, because they also have HE, so no push here at all. Maybe some support now with the Grenadiers, because it's 14-10, no double tick, and we have entered B phase, which is the strong phase for the Tusk with his Maverick income. But this down here is now very fortified. He needs his Wurfrahmen maybe. Flak Vierling super strong, which is good. I don't want it to be nerfed. I'm on attack power side here, who says that it's now very, very strong, but also that there are quite a few divisions that need it that strong in order for them to be kind of playable. So I like it. And the KV-1 goes down. I think it was to the Panzer. I just saw it blow up. I think it was the Panzer, because this doesn't have line of sight. It must have been the sneaky tank here. Actually surprising performance by the Panzer 4. I'm not a huge fan of Panzer 4s, to be honest. I think they are overpriced. Maybe against Shermans or something like that. Or T-34s, if you can use your range advantage. Other than that, they are not very good. And there's a flag here to solidify this position, which is a good call, I think. Because this flag against the spammy infantry heavy division is, and with having lost air superiority, is actually a good call. Not the hut, just the panel. Thank you. Okay. Doesn't matter that you see how long the game is, because you know it anyway, because you've clicked the YouTube video. 12 minutes on the clock. And LusitanianWolf is still ticking, but now we can see the income advantage. I am not sure though if that much AA is really needed, because there's nothing here that could be bombed really, and that is 120 points. 120 points that could be used to push this flag or the town or this stretch of land. Now finally the M42 gun is under pressure, which has been sneakily deployed here, but the IG gun still is not. And it's doing such a good job the entire time. Also notice the positioning here, the really good positioning at the edge of the house, giving the IG gun light cover. "13 minutes. Now the point advantage in B phase is quite substantial against with Maverick against V for victory, so I actually thought it's maybe not viable. But if LusitanianWolf can withstand the pressure, it might actually work. If they remain like 12-12 or 13-11 or something, because then he will have an 80-point advantage through the remainder of the game. And this is kind of how you need to play with V for victory, I think. Get into the positions you're hard to in A phase, where it's hard to be pushed out, like this forest. He gave up on this flag, but he used his points to create something like, well, the range he has, yeah, it's just covering this, but still, to create something like an impenetrable fortress. And then it's difficult anyway to push through a town. There's now an Su-85 here on the scene. APCR shot microed auf. That's really good, because the penetration 145 is more than enough, and it's twice the damage. So 2 AP shells to take out a medium tank, 1 to take out a Panzer, a light tank, 2 APCR shots for a light tank, and 3 for a medium tank. Was it a medium tank? No, it was a Panzer 3. I think that's a light tank as well, but the Panzer 4 or the Stuck have 10 points. But now, apparently, well, I can't recall, but apparently the BA-20 is in the B phase. And I think it must have been for like Reckon, yeah. So I think he dropped his Aufklärer here or something with the BA-10. Really annoying unit. Basically a mobile armored machine gun. Nothing happening here in the south. And the Tusk is concentrating on the center. There's now also a Jagdpanzer. A nicely positioned Jagdpanzer here can dominate this road with its 130mm frontal armor, but there's an Su-85 with 145mm penetration. It will pen the Jagdpanzer, even at this distance. It's not that far. Su-76 here as well, which can pen the Jagdpanzer. There's one Stuck 3 coming here. Maybe some more push over the hill here might have been an option, because there's now lots of armor in the center. But he managed also to push back into here with Landesschützen-Ost. Quite the feat. But there are still super annoying flamethrowers and those Pioneer it sitting there. Where's the Wurfrahmen? There's now schwere Feldhaubitze, but it's not shooting. The guns are silent. Another schwere Feldhaubitze. I think he wants to shell the town and then move in. Now lots of Landesschützen Ost are coming. It's getting spammy. And because there's not enough pressure, Lusitanian Wolf actually has the points to reinforce his northern positions with some more tank busting capabilities and an AA piece. The Su-85 goes down to the Jagdpanzer, but the Jagdpanzer did get penned, I think. Yeah, we can see some damage on the Jagdpanzer. I really like the Jagdpanzer 4. It's one of my favorite units. Panzer 3 takes out the Su-76. It's a bit of a surprise. Maybe it was shooting at the wrong target, and the Panzer 3 also takes this out, but then the Churchill. We will not surrender. Blood, sweat and tears, and so on. This is actually quite a beast once it's arrived. And there's a swarm of Landesschützen Ost, which is possibly a good call for the town fights, because it's also supported by some armor. The mortars are silent though. The Su-76 goes down, there's another Churchill. Went down to the bomber, I think. Nothing happening in the south. And nothing happening in the north. I think maybe he should try to take this building. He didn't try it once. And he's got this 3 here, which could be used for yeah, but this has actually line of sight, this one gun. Or does it not? No, yeah, it does. It does, surprisingly. Yeah, so, I mean, he would possibly not make it to the building or to behind the building. But we are at the 12-12 now. The Jagdpanzer seems pretty lonely here, though. And there's a leader coming up. That's good. Su-85 against Jagdpanzer 4. Let me take a quick screenshot for YouTube. And here we go. It's quite interesting how the game looks without, without the panel, without the HUD. The M42 gets unloaded on time, and now the mortar is not silent anymore. What about the... that's a lot of points for not doing anything. But I mean, he's under quite a lot of pressure, obviously, and needs to take stuff back. But now they are not silent any longer. Maybe he was waiting for the leader to provide radio. But even with the splash damage of the Schwere Feldhaubitze, it would have been okay to already shoot. And it tends to be unlikely that an aggressive player has in A or B phase. I mean, with V for Victory it could be different. Good counter battery options. Oh, I missed the Jagdpanzer going down. Possibly went down to the Su-85. There's a leader arriving here now. And despite radio, it's not really hitting the sniper. Now it is. Quite some massive shells, but it's 13-11 again. This was not contested at all. I think it was unlikely to succeed here. This is a bit sad that this flag is lost. Basically the Churchill here did a very good job, and there's the GG. As we had reached the V for Victory phase, and Lusitanian Wolf was in the lead. He traded a bit better as well, despite being on the offensive. First kill was a Focke-Wulf. That's obviously 70, together with the other one, that's like 130 points that were lost without doing much. But it was a good game by both players, and with the two spammy divisions, I think 7th Estonian is really good. And maybe the Tusk was lacking a bit armor support by this cheap Czech tank in the early game. But are there any hero units? The plane here, or a bit. The Rasvedka in the forest did a good job. Mustard Mantlet, Panzergrenz, Landesschützen Ost, Battery Leader, and Panzergrenz. The Churchill took out a Stück 3, a Panzer 3, and the P-Grenz. Yeah, and the Jagdpanzer went down to the reinforcing Su-85. Is there a star unit? The Feldjäger did a good job. It's the sniper unit. Landesschützen Ost. Panzer 4 took out the KB-1S. Also, the other one was taken out by the ZIS-3. Here you can see what the tank can do. Kill infantry, the good infantry support tank. The Jagdpanzer was worth it. 105 points, taking out the Churchill, an Su-85, an Su-76, an M42, and another Su-85, before it went down to the third Su-85. And yeah, the Panzer 3 did a good job here as well. Yeah, so congratulations to LusitanianWolf. Really cool to play a 7th Estonian in the tournament. And then commiserations to the Tusk. And yeah, stay tuned for their next matchup, which I will cast as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Until then, bye for now.